The story describing who we really are usually starts when we are born. However, that's not the case for me. My story begins before that. It begins with my parents. My parents were seeds who had to grow in rocky soil, who had to face storms of hardships just to lay the foundation for who I am today, the foundation that I am able to walk on. I walk this foundation while I carry a torch. This torch is lit up by many things: their hard work, their perseverance, and last but not least, their dreams for me to become successful in life because they weren't able to. That begins to describe who I really am. But in order to tell you who I really am, I need to tell you more about who my parents are. My parents are people who were born and raised in a foreign country. They faced poverty. They weren't guaranteed a level of education that is guaranteed here in the United States, amongst other things that follow poverty. And because of these things, once they were older, they were prompted to move here to the United States in an attempt to live a better life and for their future children to be successful in life. Yet even after arriving here in the United States, they continued to face more storms of hardships. Some examples are language barriers that kept them from opening new doors to many chances, having to work jobs that were tough physically and mentally because of things like those language barriers. And yet even after enduring all of these storms, they were able to create the foundation that is the building block for who I am. That is one part of who I really am. Another part of who I really am is the part that acts like a bridge that closes the gap between two different worlds. And what I mean by two different worlds is I'm able to navigate two different cultures. The culture that I was able to experience here in the United States, as well as the culture that my parents brought with them. Another part of acting as a bridge was having to do things at a very young age because my parents were immigrants who were adapting to the life here in the United States. An example was having to translate at a very young age. So I've had to learn to be able to learn quickly and act professionally since a very young age. Another thing, adding on to that, I had to be a role model for my siblings. Not just a role model, but also as a leader who had to make the path easier for them, which I'm glad I did. That's another part of who I am. The last part of who I am, I feel like is the most important part. It's the part that adds fuel to the flame. That fuel is my resilience. I was able to learn to always improve myself, to always take advantage of any opportunity at being successful in this life. A part of that comes from learning that my parents didn't have these opportunities. That is, I believe, the most important part of who I really am. I believe many children of immigrant families can also relate to this. So as I end this speech, I hope I'm able to leave you with a deeper insight of who someone is coming from an immigrant family. My story began with my parents' story. It is thanks to them that I am who I really am. I continue to carry on their torch in hopes that I can become successful in life while also making them proud.